Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
You are listening to The Call to Freedom, live on LRN.FM. تستمعون إلى نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We've been discussing, well, something that I've been pointing out for quite a while here. Now, evidently, WikiLeaks has put out some documentation that it came out a while ago, but no one really seemed to notice it because the people were so incensed about the Catholics doing it. And, you know, because anything that WikiLeaks does incriminated Hillary, so now Muslims don't really care that WikiLeaks even exists, when Muslims used to love WikiLeaks when they were leaking videos of
Abu Ghraib
Bush and stuff like, you know.
I don't think WikiLeaks actually released Abu Ghraib.
It wasn't Abu Ghraib. It was the videos from...
that's right. It was the reporter being killed.
Yeah. And Muslims thought that was awesome. But then when WikiLeaks was used to demonize Hillary, then WikiLeaks became the enemy. Well, in some of the WikiLeaks leaks, there was discussion of Soros-backed groups that were openly saying that their desire was to socially engineer the Catholic community by funding and empowering very, very progressive voices in the Catholic community, using the media to force them into positions of leadership. And that turns out there was something in there that they were doing that in the Muslim community too. And wouldn't you think that it's kind of odd that, you know, there's these people that were nobodies before, and all of a sudden they're on television every day. They're the head of all of these other Soros-linked or funded groups. And they're suddenly on television every time you turn around. And, oh, my goodness, they literally headline every Muslim event for the last 3 years. And they're coming in and pushing out the scholars. Literally, the people who were the rock stars of our community have now been relegated to the sidelines and are basically told, if you ain't woke like us, you need to go sit down. Are you buying some $150 sneakers to show everybody how much you hate capitalism? then you ain't woke like us. You need to go sit down. And we're now seeing these big name scholars are not going to these events anymore. She's there and they're not. And new scholars are coming in who will jump in on the woke train. And somehow now their faces are being seen in the media. And isn't it funny that the woke imam was suddenly on CNN when you'd never seen our community represented with actual academics until we had a woke one who was going to push woke theology. Now we have famous imam. What? And when you point this out, the Muslims are like, no, the left is our friend.
But I mean, there's the evidence right there proving
They don't want to see
that
it.
it's happening.
They don't want to see it, though.
I think the idea of Soros corrupting the Catholic Church is stupid, and that it should have been the whole story should have been ignored because the Catholic Church
Does enough to corrupt itself?
well, there's that too.
But
But
also small children.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
but you know
that was the point.
They're like the richest organization in the world. Soros, you do not have enough money to corrupt the Catholic Church. I'm sorry, you're rich, but you're not that rich. These people corrupted themselves long before you came along.
Yeah.
You are fighting the devil with that one, and you're not going to win.
In this vein, solidarity is this. One of the groups created by the OSF as part of its Muslim initiative asserts that, quote, the laws, practices, and institutions of the United States have led to a patriarchal, heteronormative policy that endangers the lives of women, queer people, transgendered individuals, and to laws and attitudes that target immigrants, refugees, and Muslims, South Asians, and Arab communities. Precisely why Muslims should oppose heteronormative policies is never actually explained.
I haven't heard that much crap since I walked by the stall at that baseball game a few years ago.
Right. Progressive foundations do not merely want to build solidarity between American Muslims and other victim identity groups. They also want to nudge Muslim attitudes toward the view that same-sex relations are as inherently moral and natural as natural marriage between man and woman. The Arcus Foundation, Ann E. Rhodes, and Leona B. Carpenter Foundation have been pouring money into the Muslim community to sway attitudes towards approval of same-sex marriage. These groups fund Muslims for Progressive Values, whose slogan is, our gender is human, our orientation is love.
Can I interject something here? Because it's a symptom of a larger problem, which is this confusion of tolerance with acceptance. And I don't think the left, I mean, they're intentionally conflating the two things. Like the meme I was talking about the other day, the first thing on it was, I'm okay with fine people, I'm okay with trans women, but they remain biologically male. Well, that's just a factual statement, but it was being called transphobic. And
well, facts are racist now. So.
Well, clearly. And another one was, I wouldn't date a trans woman, but I'm fine with them. That was being called transphobic. I'm sorry, personal preferences, or that he doesn't want to stick a penis in his mouth makes him transphobic. I don't agree with that reasoning.
Yeah.
I think that makes him straight. And I think it's okay to be straight, but
that's just it. Is it's not okay to be straight?
Yeah. Most of this article so far has been talking about it's been LGBT centered. When we're such a tiny minority of the population, why is this article about the world's largest religion or second largest or whatever it is fixated on this tiny segment of the population? That's how much power we wield, and it's ridiculous for us to be crying about how we're victims when we're rewriting the second largest religion in the world effortlessly.
Yes,
that's screwed up. But it shows how much
takes money.
Yeah, it shows how much power the LGBT community has, and why they go, oh, we're so oppressed. Oh, it's taking too long to corrupt the entire world's ideology, so that they bow to us.
This says here,
that's their definition of victimhood now.
These groups fund Muslims for Progressive Values, whose slogan is our gender is human, our orientation is love. This funding allows MPV to, for example, advocate at UN conferences for overcoming authoritarian readings of holy books. MPV is a project of the Human Rights Campaign, which describes itself as, quote, the largest civil rights organization working to achieve equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Americans. Quietly and diligently, says MPV, we have been building our progressive community one city at a time and now one country at a time. Quietly, that is, until recently. MPV and HRC were at the center of a controversy at the most recent Islamic Society of North America convention when ISNA officials asked them to vacate the booth they had rented in the convention bazaar for promoting values contrary to Islam. MPV issued a press release calling out ISNA for its intolerance. Arcus also funds the National Queer Asian Pacific Islander Alliance, which in turn sponsors the Muslim Alliance for Sexual and Gender Diversity, or the MASGD.
There are so many acronyms flying around today.
Pronounced masjid. You know, as in the...
Oh, that's so low.
Yeah. The MASGD, wow. I'm just going to keep calling it that because the GD reminds me of GD, says it serves a community whose members exist at the intersection of multiple oppressed identities, and that it aims to increase the acceptance of gender and sexual diversity within Muslim communities. So more targeting.
And more conflation of acceptance with intolerance.
Yep. Blah, 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 blah. Ambition 3-year effort to develop commentary on what the most influential Islamic texts say about homosexuality with the aim of disrupting connections between more...
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Angel Clark, and you're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.fm.
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We are broadcasting live from our Horizon.global studio here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. Joined in studio by Miss Aria DiMezzo, the Queen of Crypto herself. And, of course, live via remote, we've got Mr. Tom Gray. We've been talking about this article from Ismail Royer in Muslim Matters, where he's discussing basically a bucket full of alphabet soups, you know, all these acronyms in a basket.
Yeah, he makes the federal government look small.
Yeah.
With all of
these different groups. Yeah. And basically that you've got these groups, Arcus, Proteus, they're all fun, emergent, what's that? Emergent Fund. And they're funding groups like Empower Change, which is Sarsaura's group, the Georgia Muslim Voter Project. Let's see here, Black Lives Matter Black Media Training Cohort, Empower Change, Muslim Anti-Racist Collaborative. Let's see here, Empower Change, No Ban, No Wall, New Jersey. The Brown Boy Project, the Council for the American Islamic Relations, California. And the Georgia Muslim Voter Project again, Indigenous Interfaith Voices for Reproductive Justice. That's Christians and Muslims for Abortion. Seriously. And who else? Well, Arcus has also given funding to Dr. Amina Wadud, recently embroiled in controversy for calling the Prophet Ibrahim, that's Abraham to you Christians out there, a deadbeat dad.
Oh my God.
Who also runs the Matriarchal Mosque just outside of D.C. And Arcus is also known for an ambitious 3-year effort to develop commentary on what the most influential Islamic texts say about homosexuality, with the aim of disrupting the connections between conservative interpretations and discriminatory practices.
Could we rewind for a second to the part about Abraham being a deadbeat dad? I mean, where do you think he went?
Well, he did try to kill his son. I mean,
they're talking about Ishmael, because Ishmael, the tradition is that Ishmael and Hagar were left because Sarah threw them out. But the Muslim tradition states that Abraham built them a house, and God created the Arabs from the two of them. So, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't exactly like Abraham tossed him out on his butt. It was like...
They built the Kaaba.
This situation is not going to be good if you keep hanging around.
And our tradition makes Ishmael an adult when the whole thing happened. Yeah. Ishmael's an adult.
Yeah.
So deadbeat what? And, you know, when Imam Zaid Shaker said something about that, he was targeted. The Zaytuna Institute was threatened with economic boycott. They would literally cripple the institutions that our community has built since we've been here in order to continue to further this left-wing progressive crap. Who's sticking up for Muslim Americans at a very scary moment? Asked the online journal Inside Philanthropy in 2015. Its answer, Proteus, a Soros-funded group. Muslim Americans, too, have noticed the support from progressive foundations. They've noticed the very real help from liberal groups like the ACLU. They've also noticed the millions of dollars poured into anti-Muslim initiatives from segments of the political right. Thus, it's perhaps understandable that mainstream American Muslim organizations would work with progressives and accept funding from them. In many cases, it may even make sense to do so. The author was actually represented by the ACLU in a religious freedom lawsuit against the Federal Bureau of Prisons. But American Muslims need to understand that funding from Proteus, Arcus, and so on is given pursuant to the left's broader vision of refashioning Islam into an ethnic identity and social justice ideology and absorbing it into the progressive movement. At present, the progressive left doesn't view its alliance with Muslims as a marriage of equals, as a coalition that works together on issues of common concern, but whose members respect their disagreements in other areas. Rather, as MVP proved by trying to spread teachings contrary to mainstream Sunni Islam at an ISNA convention, and then aggressively calling out ISNA when inobjective, the progressive left's tolerance of Muslim social conservatism is temporary and strategic, and they will demand compliance with their moral code, and if and when they deem appropriate. Basically, as long as you follow along with their views and their values, they'll stand up for you when the right goes to load you into that cattle car. But if you don't, well, I hope you don't mind the lack of room and that poor Shia guy that ate too many falafels before he got on the car next to you. The situation of Muslims is indeed scary. An openly hostile man occupies the White House. Well-funded anti-Muslim propagandists work overtime. Terrorists target the West in an effort to turn public opinion against us, and hate crimes against Muslims are on the rise, though nowhere near as much as they were during the Obama years. Our flattering friends on the left stand with us while some of them work to mold Islam into something more to their personal liking. Our challenge in the face of all this is to keep our nerve. For knowledge of right and wrong, American Muslims must look not to the expediency or the latest political trends, but the Book of Allah, the Sunnah of His Prophet ﷺ, and the insight of our qualified scholars. We must cooperate with anyone left, right, or center for Allah's sake, and in the pursuit of the common good, for ourselves and for our non-Muslim neighbors. But we must have the confidence to resist the temptation to betray eternal truths for temporary and illusory gains. With this moral clarity, we can enter alliances from a position of moral strength and leadership. Without it, we simply give up what makes us Muslim in the first place. The author is Ismail Royer, a research and program associate at the Center for Islam and Religious Freedom. I know those guys.
You know, what concerns me about the last thing that he says is that, I mean, if all of this has already happened, then he's already wrong. What makes people Muslim is being brown, according to the left. So,
yeah,
you know.
Very much so.
And we do see the same sort of war happening in Christianity right now, which historically and biblically it's not a big fan of LGBTQ people either, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to like us, you know, just tolerate us. That's all I ask. You know, you do have these, man, there is no way to say that on live radio. We do have these jerks out here who want more than that, who demand acceptance. But I mean, for the most part, you just don't make people not do things that they want to do. Simple enough.
Well, even speaking as a Christian, you can, in fact, we're demanded to, even while still believing that homosexuality is a sin, not to judge people by the church's law when that's what God's going to do. I mean, so acceptance, depending on how you define it, is something that Christians are called to do while still understanding that it's a sin, not doing it ourselves, and if anybody asks, explaining that that's one of the things that separates you from God. I don't know why this is so hard for some people. But for a lot of people.
Because if you say it, then your lefty friend in your college, they'll look at you. You know, well, you were here when we had that girl from the Muslim
Tom's is directed more at the right, the anti-LGBT right, who would attempt to force the law of Christianity onto people who aren't Christians.
It's the same thing, though. It's the same authoritarian socialism.
Yeah, and it scratches the same ego, that same sense of, I am right and I need to shape the world in my image.
Yes.
And anyone who doesn't like it can just, they can get in the boxcar.
Yes. Exactly.
I don't like boxcars. I don't like trains, and I'm not going.
Yeah. Nor am I. But that's okay, because no one is trying to shove LGBTQ people into trains or boxcars. Regardless of what you have been led to believe.
Right?
Things are not that bad here in the United States.
For real, yo.
It's actually pretty good. I work in a corporate job now.
I got called a bigot.
No one gives a crap.
I got called a bigot and an apologist the other day because I was like, look, man, under Obama from 2009 to 2010, anti-Muslim hate crimes doubled. In the entire time that Trump's been in office, they've gone up 5%. I think we may be doing a little better.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, September 10th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,194 per ounce. Zen is trading at $16, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,302. Antiwar.com reports 17 years into the war in Afghanistan, the Pentagon has gone through several periods of trying to sell the American public on the idea that the war isn't a disastrous failure. This is increasingly difficult because the war is going really badly. But lying works sometimes, and the Pentagon has made that standard operating procedure in Afghanistan. The Pentagon estimates on the war are often exaggerated and many times simply fabricated outright. The Pentagon estimates that the Taliban controls or contest 44% of the country, analysts say the real figure is closer to 61%. Many districts the U.S. does not consider contested have the Afghan government controlling the capital and little else. U.S. figures show Afghanistan having 314,000 troops and the Taliban having about 25,000. Afghan officials say the Taliban is actually closer to 77,000, while the estimate of Afghan forces ignores that about a third of them are ghost soldiers who exist only on paper. In individual incidents, the Pentagon reports tend to be wildly inaccurate, as well as with the Taliban's brief capture of the city of Ghazni. The Pentagon declared this a failed Taliban push the day it happened and downplayed it as minimal. Fighting raged for most of the week, with the Pentagon never admitting just what a big fight it actually was. All of these statements are part of a broad effort to paint the Afghan war as at least somewhat less dire than it actually is. It is rare for them to be called on such deception, though if history is any indication, the latest report will not change the Pentagon strategy. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. UPI reports Dallas police officer Amber Geiger was arrested Sunday night and faces manslaughter charges after she entered the wrong apartment, believing it was hers, and fatally shot a man in his own home. Geiger was booked into the Kaufman County Jail, and her bail was set at $300,000. The incident occurred Thursday night when Geiger, who was off duty but still in uniform, entered the apartment of Botham Jean, believing it was her apartment. She then shot Jean, who died of gunshot wounds on his way to the hospital. Police have not said how Geiger, who lives in the same building, was able to enter the apartment. Geiger was not arrested until almost 3 days after the shooting. Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall said on Friday that authorities were preparing a warrant to arrest Geiger on manslaughter charges, but that was postponed when the investigation was handed over to the Texas Rangers. Attorney Lee Merritt, who is representing Jean's family, said the delay in charging Geiger only worsened an already tragic situation. At a press conference on Sunday, Merritt said he was presented video evidence and witness testimony to police that contradicts the police narrative of what happened during the shooting. However, he did not give specifics on what that evidence shows. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports firefighters battled over the weekend to outflank a wildfire that has forced the closure of an interstate highway in Northern California as the blaze swept through explosively dry mountain timber in the Shasta Trinity National Forest. As of late Saturday, the Delta Fire had scorched more than 40,500 acres in the Cascade Range since erupting on Wednesday in a forest canyon along the Sacramento River about 250 miles north of San Francisco. No serious injuries or deaths had been reported, but the blaze has caused major travel disruptions. On Wednesday, flames raced across Interstate 5, chasing a number of truckers from their vehicles before flames engulfed their abandoned rigs. A 45-mile stretch of I-5, a key north-south route through the entire state, has remained closed since then, requiring traffic detours of up to 120 miles. Although the containment of the blaze remained at zero, crews have made gains, clearing away tinder dry brush beyond its leading edge. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Sources at the video streaming service Netflix reported today that they had sent local man Shane Fowler a personal message earlier just checking to see if everything was okay after the 31-year-old watched an entire season of the FX program Sons of Anarchy in a single viewing session.
Well, we happened to notice that Shane had been sitting in front of his laptop and had burned through all 13 episodes of the first season of Sons of Anarchy. So we thought maybe we could send him a note and just sort of make sure he was doing all right, or if he needed someone to talk to or something.
Netflix says the message, which Fowler received minutes after he finished viewing the season 1 finale of the motorcycle gang drama, was just a way for the company to see if there was anything they could do for their longtime subscriber.
I mean, we do this stuff all the time. Just last year, Mike Ralston from Bartlesville, Oklahoma, watched all 4 seasons of The Tudors after his wife left him. We were there for him. We just like to check in on our customers from time to time.
This is the Onion News Network.
The Call to Freedom is an opinion show. It's meant for informational purposes only. It is not licensed financial advice. It is very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with or independently research and verify any information that you hear from the Call of Freedom and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. I mean, come on, guys. Duh. It's a cryptocurrency investment and a political talk radio. Of course, it's opinions.
Matos, and I am coming from New York City, New York. Let me tell you guys that I am so excited. I am so happy. I am really so thrilled to be right now sharing this amazing, glorious, super and exciting moment of my life with all of you guys. And let me tell you that we are really changing the world as we know it. The world is not anymore the way it used to be. No, no, no. Be
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. It is our it is our crypto hour here on the Call to Freedom, and we do have one somewhat interesting revelation going on. The Winklevoss brothers finally got something off the ground.
Wow, that is
now not without a huge mouthful of the state of New York, and their regulators to get the green light. But Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss, the creators of cryptocurrency trading platform Gemini, have received permission from New York regulators to launch their own stablecoin. According to a post on Gemini's Medium Monday, September the 10th, the so-called Gemini dollar.
What in the hell is a stable coin?
Stable coins are like Tether.
I guess they use it for horses.
They're like Tether. They're tethers. Stable coins are basically tethers.
They tether the horses?
Okay, so it's crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's stuff that's connected to the dollar.
It's scam coins and crap coins.
Yeah. The Gemini dollar
Why would you connect a tether to a horse if you were trying to get it in the stable?
The so-called
connected to a dollar.
Gemini dollar now has the backing of the New York Department of Financial Services.
Yeah, because that's who we want in crypto.
The Brothers Medium post describes the coins being backed by the U.S. dollar that are held at a bank located in the United States and eligible for FDIC pass-through deposit insurance, subject to applicable limitations. The move represents the first crypto asset from the twins, whose mission to launch a Bitcoin exchange trade-funded ETF received a second rejection from regulators in July. It's not just Gemini Trust, Forbes quotes Tyler Winklevoss as saying, but you have to build a network of important players that are also trusted to solve for the trust problem of a stable coin.
Well, you know what they say. You throw enough crap coins at a wall, eventually something will stick.
Trading of the Gemini dollar begins today. Tyler telling Forbes, okay, why is it trading? If it's a stable coin, then the value doesn't go up. Why do they call it trading? You're like, trading starts today.
Well, it's technically trading.
People
I will trade you this fiat for your fiat in crypto form.
Yeah. Cryptocurrency commentators have given increasingly mixed reception to stable coins. Cryptocurrency is designed to be less volatile as controversy over market stalwart stablecoin Tether simmers. The NYDFS Greenlight makes the Gemini dollar the world's first regulated stablecoin to launch, according to the brothers, although trust company Paxos also announced its own stablecoin's regulatory approval on Monday, making the same claim. These approvals demonstrate that companies can create change and strong standards of compliance within a strong state regulatory framework, says
we know
Maria
they can.
T. Vullo, superintendent of the New York DFS. Yeah, we know they can. The point is we shouldn't be doing it. That's not the point of crypto.
Yeah, it's always been that we don't want them to, you know?
Yeah.
Not that we don't think they can. We don't think they should.
Yes. Plain and simple. This was created without you because we don't want to deal with you.
Because we don't trust you, because the last time we trusted you,
you crashed the economy every 6 years since 1913.
Yeah. So we were like, okay, well, we need to stop using the money that these psychopaths give us.
Because its value has dropped 97% since it was created.
And of course, I mean, of course, we were always going to have these people go, you know what would be a great idea if we took this great new thing
and got
we
the
crapped
government
all over
involved.
it. Yeah.
They got the government involved. It's like marriage, you know.
Yeah.
This relationship's going great. We should go ask the government if they approve of it, and will give us a license.
Worst threesome ever.
Worst threesome ever. I don't know, Tom.
Be my spouse.
No, I will agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be some foursomes that are worse.
Melanie, do you agree with that? Your soon-to-be spouse, and the government, worst threesome ever.
We don't have to have a threesome with the government.
That's what's remarkable about it, is that we don't have to. People choose to. People go, hey, you did?
I had to by law, or my wife wouldn't have been able to stay.
Yeah.
Okay, most people choose
couldn't
to.
cross the imaginary line without government's permission.
But see, that's an issue that the government created. I mean, that's like saying, hey,
she was here already.
That's like the government saying, hey, we're the king of this land, and you want to marry your woman. Too bad we get her on her wedding night.
Yeah, right.
Like the ancient lords and kings used to do. Except it was.
The right.
Stop ruining the segment, Melanie.
She can't hear you yet. She doesn't have her headphones plugged in. She's just showing up. This is, everybody knows Melanie here. She's a regular on Free Talk Live on Monday nights, and somewhat regular here on The Call to Freedom on Mondays when she shows up early, and which is basically every Monday.
Hey, what's up?
So, we were just talking about how the Winklevoss twins got the first fully regulated in New York, so that means the most strict regulations on crypto in the U.S., Tethercoin. So it's a cryptocurrency that's value is connected directly to a limited amount of U.S. dollars that are deposited in an American bank account that's FDIC insured and fully regulated by the New York Financial something.
Yeah, back in the day when they had TV and they had those insurance ads on TV, and it's like, this is our insurance, blah blah blah, not valid in the state of New York. Like, that just sums up anything you need to know about New York.
Yeah. And the fact that they went there and were able, like, how much government gargling they had to do to get that, and they're just like, let's do some more.
This is the Petro. That's what this is. That's all this is.
This is the Petro for the U.S.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're so right. New York, and you know what? Como was talking about New York having its own currency. The Gemini coin.
Yep.
There you go. That's what they're
I
calling
am Petro Matos.
Right. That what would be just hilarious to me if New York trying to get its own currency is what led them to advocate for secession, because that's like one of the things left in the Constitution that you can't do. That's like one of the things that the feds actually have authority for in the Constitution.
That would be so awesome if New York was like, yep, I'm out. We got our own dollar. We got the 6th largest military in the world. The New York Police Department is the 6th largest military force on earth.
Yeah, because most countries don't have obscenely, massively large militaries.
We have a city that has a larger violent force on the ground than 90% of the countries on earth, and we have one city whose police department outnumbers most militaries. That's insane.
Well, when you run out of brown people to kill overseas,
you gotta send them home to do it here.
Yep.
Ugh. Anyway, when we get back here, there's really not a whole lot else in the crypto market to talk about. But we do have the United States threatening sanctions because people tried to negotiate peace without giving the U.S. their proper dues. We'll get into that when we get back.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Following several months of negotiations, representatives at the Minnesota State Museum confirmed today that they have extended their final offer to the anonymous owner of the couch from the hit 1970s sitcom The Mary Tyler Moore Show.
We hope an agreement can be reached soon because after months of back and forth, we just need a straight answer here.
Healy noted that the brown velvet artifact would be a welcome addition to its media wing, which boasts a robust collection, including several iconic Minnesota pieces.
We have the fence from Grumpy Old Men. We acquired the puck from the Mighty Ducks several months ago.
Healy and his team made their first bid in December of 2012 and have cycled through 5 rounds of negotiations, reportedly tripling their initial offer in an urgent attempt to secure the sale.
It's not every day that an artifact of this significance comes on the market and went... Oh my God, it's him. It's him, okay. Hello, sir. What would you say if I went up another 2?
This is the Onion News Network.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
You're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
تستمتعون إلى برنامج نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. Broadcasting live from our Horizon.global studios here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. And it's it's a nice day. It's kind of chilly outside. It's finally starting to be, it's going to be 81 tomorrow. Never mind. So, yeah, we are in.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's going to be 81 tomorrow. It's schizophrenic weather season here in the Shire. Melanie knows what I'm talking about. It happened last year, too, didn't it? This schizophrenic
yeah,
weather.
I think so. I don't really have enough to have a pattern yet, so I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, there was schizophrenic weather last year. It was freezing at night and 87 degrees during the day.
Well, I woke up this morning and went outside. I was like, okay, it's not that bad. I've gotten used to it a bit. It's 60 degrees. Okay, I'm fine. And then it starts raining and it drops down to 12 degrees or whatever it is out there right now. And tomorrow it's going to be 80.
It's
awesome.
Like 54 degrees outside. It's 57. What are you talking about?
There's no way. There's no way it's only 3 or 4 degrees cooler than it was 5 or 6 hours ago.
Well, that's now. That's not before. Like, it might have been 20 an hour ago. We don't know, whatever.
Well, it wasn't 12. I mean,
Now,
not really, but...
On our crypto hour, because we also cover tech stuff on the show, we've kind of shown the connections between nerd culture and crypto culture.
I mean, they're mined with gaming PCs, so I mean, of course there's a connection.
Exactly. So I guess it's not all that, much of a surprise to find out that there is now a multi-sided FUD dice. That's right, the new Bitcoin FUD dice guaranteed to make Paul Krugman obsolete.
We have to order some of these for the studio.
I know. As cryptocurrency prices continue to trigger Bitcoin naysayers, data monitoring site Coinmetrics.io co-founder Nick Carter has sought to rebuff them all once and for all with FUD dice. You've heard of Bitcoin? You do not like it? A part of a tongue-in-cheek blog post September 9th, it aimed at famous crypto critics such as economists Robert Shiller, Paul Krugman, Warren Buffett, and Nouriel Roubini.
Warren Buffett is an economist now?
Right. Carter unveiled what he calls thought-free think pieces, ostensibly aimed at helping them form fresh criticisms. You've heard of Bitcoin. You do not like it, he writes, addressing his target market. It's rat poison, a Ponzi scheme. It's boiling the oceans with its energy usage. Carter further presents a list of major areas of disagreement that such critics regularly use to highlight Bitcoin's alleged shortcomings. Though these cover topics such as the cryptocurrency's fixed 21 million supply, the deflationary nature, along with mining costs, block size, volatility, and more. Each aspect contains more than a hint of sarcasm. Bitcoin is a permissionless system that anyone on Earth can use to store wealth. He continues discussing the lack of know your customer statutes in Bitcoin. You don't like the idea of free flow of money or untamperable wealth. You believe in capital controls and the USDA food pyramid. You prefer your steaks well done and your money under the watchful gaze of the government. Finally, Bitcoin Critique Dice. The piece pays homage to an extant effort to combat naysayers, which have achieved cult status within the cryptocurrency community in recent years. 99 Bitcoin's obituaries column, which records every instance of mainstream press sourcing declaring Bitcoin doomed, is now accompanied by its own random generator of fresh obituaries. So, too, does Carter offer a chance to spin new warnings over Bitcoin's impending doom, using dice, which are available for purchase in real life, only using Bitcoin. At the moment, customers can buy up to 6 dice while supplies last. The dice are real. You can buy them today on Bitcoin's Lightning Network at fuddice.shop for 0.0005 Bitcoin, or about $3.09 a die. Cast those dice with confidence, fiat inflationists. It's great.
It is.
So yeah, I'm looking at the dice here. Let's see here. We got deflation, self-mining, DEV incentives, developer incentives. Okay. Energy waste, volatile, toxic fans, 21 million cap, no turning, small blocks, high fees. Oh, I love it.
And they say
not all of that is FUD, to be fair.
Not all. So volatility is bad in in anything,
yes,
but especially in a currency.
Well, it depends on the volatility. Bitcoin tends to go up in value, so I'm okay with that.
Right, but
and the dollar tends to go down.
Right, but I'm saying you wouldn't want to have a totally unstable currency, but deflation is not inherently bad unless you own a central bank. So
yeah, basically,
I don't see how Bitcoin is supposed to be deflationary.
Well, if there's a cap on it, it's going to almost inherently be deflationary.
I mean, not being inflationary is different from deflationary. And I mean, right now it is inflationary. And once it hits that cap, it won't inflate anymore, but that's still not deflating. I mean, deflating...
Well, no, if it's the price is going up, then it is deflationary.
No, deflation of a currency is a decrease in the monetary supply, because inflation is the increase in the monetary supply. But the amount of Bitcoin in existence is never going to go down. Some of it will be lost in things like that, but it still exists, and it will still be included in circulation, even if it can't be accessed and used. So I mean, there's a difference between deflationary, inflationary,
value
and not inflationary.
Is that the value of Bitcoin is going to go up and up and up and up and up, and it will be out of the...
But see, that's economically wrong. Inflation isn't about prices and values and all of that. It's about the existence of the money supply and the quantity thereof.
Out of the grasp of the common man. Which I'm looking for a time when when one Satoshi is $1. I don't see a problem with that.
By that point, we would hopefully not refer to it as $1. It would be one Satoshi.
Yeah. What I mean, but it has the buying power of $1 in 1964. I'd be happy with that. If one Satoshi had the buying power of $1 in 1964, I could pay my rent with 50 Satoshis. That'd be awesome. Could you imagine?
Except the transaction fee would essentially be one Satoshi because it couldn't be lower.
Right. All right. Anyway, when we get back here, there's really not. That's really the only thing we could find. It's so sad. Unless you want to talk about Coinbase.
Well, the lack of articles is why the prices are tanking. You know?
That's probably sadly true.
If only they had a better editor, right, Arya?
That's right, Tom.
Right. Well, when we get back, we're going to be talking about sanctions against international criminal courts. And they're going to close the office at the U.S. office in Palestine because somebody didn't get their
the U.S.
ring
doesn't need that many offices in every country.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do You think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. आप सुन रहे हैं स्वतंत्रता की पुकार सिर्फ और सिर्फ LRN.FM पे।
Apollo 69.
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We are broadcasting live from our Horizon.global studio here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. And, we are moving right along with today's broadcast. Joined in studio today by Melanie Johnson.
Hey, what's up?
Along with Aria DeMezzo, the Queen of Crypto herself. And live via remote, we've got Tom Gray, our legal mind. Now, we've got a story here. Everybody was worried when John Bolton got put in his position that we would have some problems. Well, turns out they were right. We got a clip here from CNN Politics discussing basically what it amounts to, the U.S. will use any means necessary to protect its citizens and allies from prosecution from the International Criminal Court.
Well, that's kind of that's entirely normal. That's like having a news story that's like, somebody got a flat tire. And so then they called the tow truck.
Right.
Well,
the only people who are allowed to be tried by the International Criminal Courts are African dictators that the U.S. needs to get rid of. Duh.
I mean, I think they should go ahead and just quit pretending that it's an actual court with actual trials. But randomly,
it's an actual court with actual trials.
No, it's not.
They try people like Slobodan Milosevic. but somehow don't try George Bush.
Because
we have bigger guns
international
than they
courts
did. Yeah.
have as much authority as me sitting here being like,
tell that to the Nazis.
Donald Trump's a war criminal. Barack Obama's a war criminal.
Tell
Bush
that
second was a war.
tell that to the Nazis that they hung.
Well, that wasn't the international courts. That was the UN, which does have somewhat of a military.
Well,
at
no,
least
it's the international. That is the
Europe
International
does.
Criminal Court. The ICC is an arm of the UN.
The US.
The ICC is an arm of the UN.
But they have
they
whatever
exist for
power
that
their
purpose.
military has.
Exactly.
And so
exactly.
if the UN's like, I don't want a war with the US, then I guess they ain't trying any US people.
Yeah.
Like this is, I don't know why people don't get that's. Well, like of course the UN can like invade Yemen if they want to, and not the US. Like,
Right.
why is this surprising?
Well, let's see what John Bolton has to say, or not. Oh, that's awesome. This place.
Today,
there we
on
go.
the eve of September the 11th, I want to deliver a clear and unambiguous message on behalf of the President of the United States. The United States will use any means necessary to protect our citizens and those of our allies from unjust prosecution by this illegitimate court.
That's technically
We
a
will not
non-statement.
cooperate with the ICC. We will provide no assistance to the ICC, and we certainly will not join the ICC.
As far as things that politicians say, this isn't really that offensive.
We will let the ICC die on its own.
Well, it's not about it being
For all
offensive.
intents and purposes,
Not offensive as
the
in, like,
ICC is already dead to
SJWs,
us.
but offensive as in like
the United
this is
States bases this policy on 5 principal concerns
morally
about the
important.
court: its purported authority and its effectiveness. First, the International Criminal Court unacceptably threatens American sovereignty and U.S. national security interest. The prosecutor in The Hague claims essentially
If you don't understand
unfettered
why this is a
discretion
problem,
to
imagine a
investigate,
representative of
charge, and
1940s
prosecute
Germany
individuals,
saying these same
regardless of whether their countries have acceded to the Rome Statute.
right. That's not different.
The court in no way derives these powers from any
How did
grant
we
of
get to
consent
Hitler
by
already?
non-parties to the
Because it's an
statute.
international trial.
Instead, the ICC is an unprecedented effort to vest power in
Because
a
you're thinking
supranational
this is
body
normal has to do
without
with
the
the fact that it's
consent
an
of either
American
nation
saying it.
states
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
or the
whoa, whoa. I did not
individuals.
say this was normal.
I said this was normal.
I'm not. Yep, I'm talking about Melanie.
It is
You wanna
normal. It is
understand-
normal for the superpower to tell the slightly small little superpower, yeah, I don't think you're gonna invade us today, and I'm gonna call you on that. So unless you come over here and invade us, then I guess I win.
Yeah,
like that's normal.
It's
That's pretty
makes
much
right.
exactly what I just said, except now we're the superpower instead of Germany.
I'm not saying that there's
We're
a
that,
moral way,
we're that
How
group
for the-
saying
you
we're
can
inaccountable because
understand-
we got bigger guns.
but that's what a court is. A court isn't some like ethereal
Well, the problem
judgment
is when
of
China-
morality and philosophy that comes down from heaven and is like, I will judge
No,
truth. A
You
court
said
is.
you just said that on a radio show containing
Right.
2 theists. You're aware of this, right?
Listen here, though. Neither of them are
China.
statists, though. I don't think
China.
they think that about courts.
What
I
happens
could be
when
wrong,
China
but I know
says,
that.
you know what?
Well, the
We're
the
tired
state's
of the
courts aren't in
US.
heaven anyway.
We're tired of the
I mean, you
US
just said
doing
justice isn't delivered from heaven. I mean, to,
Right, I'm
to,
saying
to
that's
people
not
who
what a
fundamentally
that's not
disagree
what a,
with you.
No, but that's not what a court is. If there's something else up there, not here, that's a separate issue. But
she's saying the
that's
secular
not what a
courts
court
are not
is.
God's law. That's not what a court is. It's not the
A court is a dude
ethereal
with
coming
robes
on. Yeah,
backed up with a bunch of dudes with a whole lot of guns. That's what a court is.
yeah. That's yes, very much so.
I just can't get over how we're already on Godwin's law, and we're like 5 minutes into this.
It's because the
Go big or go home, damn it.
basically it's because this is it's the international court where the Nazis were tried.
Oh,
and now
yeah, I
you
get
have
that.
now you have America, which is basically the biggest war criminal government on earth.
Because it's the biggest government on earth. There's a kind of synonyms.
True. And they're saying, yeah, we know we're committing crimes against humanity in Yemen. What are you going to do? We don't acknowledge your authority, so what are you going to do? It's like one of us going into the courtroom in the state court here in New Hampshire and being like, well, yeah, I don't acknowledge your authority, so what
We
are
do
you
that
gonna
all
do?
the time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but the difference is when we do it, they kick the piss out of us and throw us in jail.
And if we did it backed up with sufficient arms, then they'd be
They
like,
wouldn't do
well,
it.
I guess you're right. Let's talk about something else now.
We got nukes. What are they going to do? We got big guns. Well, here's what they can do. China gets smart and goes, you know what? What if we started heading up the international court? Because we got bigger guns and more guns. Oh, yeah, and more people than all of them. Because you invade China and...
They're also equally large criminals.
True,
So,
but
I mean,
there's like 1.3 billion of them, and there's 300 million of us. Yeah, and that's all of us and all of them.
Yeah, and so China might be a contender as to who could take the U.S. I don't think that the EU is.
No.
And even if China is a contender, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be as... So maybe in theory they could do it. That doesn't mean they want that fight. It's not like the U.S. bombing some island somewhere.
China has never been aggressive. Not in my life, not in the past couple of centuries.
Not militarily. Financially, yes. Not militarily.
I mean, but we can handle financial aggression by, competing.
Well, I mean, that's the way we're supposed to handle it, but, this is the American government we're talking about here.
That's how sane people handle it.
Yeah.
This is the U.S.
We bomb countries that want to compete. You think you can do this better than us? Well, then there just won't be a you anymore. How's that? Anyway, when we get back here, we're going to continue on with this story. The U.S. now threatening sanctions and all other kinds of stuff because, this is basically because of Palestine going to them and saying, look, we don't like it when Israel bombs schools in our country. And the international court said, you know what? That is kind of messed up. Maybe we'll look into that. And now the U.S. says, if you look into that, we're going to bomb you.
Which is almost conclusive.
What was it Voltaire
of the
said
question.
about to know who rules over you? Who is it you can't criticize?
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, Mark at freetalklive.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
I just heard the best sales pitch I've heard in a long time on an airplane. The flight attendant announced, "If you paid more than $75 for your round-trip ticket, you overpaid." This is brilliant because everybody on the flight paid more, and I was struck by how all the road warriors stopped typing and reading and working and looked up. The announcement invited us to apply for the airline's credit card. And the sign-up bonus? Enough frequent flyer miles for a free round trip. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade. With some banks offering free credit cards, $75 is an outrage for an annual fee, but a bargain for airline tickets. For more tips on communicating more effectively, hit survivalspeech.com, where you can see how I got the CEO of another major airline to shower me with freebies. I'm Holland Cook.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. Unasikiliza wito wa uhuru katika LRN.FM.
Welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We are broadcasting live from our Horizon.global studio in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. We've been discussing what's going on with the ICC, with Bolton, who is, huffing and puffing. It says here, the administration will consider taking steps in the UN Security Council to constrain the Netherlands-based court, whose jurisdiction the U.S. simply doesn't recognize.
Yeah, because one, this is just an epic of failure is not enough.
Yes.
We need two.
Bolton also hailed the closure of the PLO office in Washington, said that the U.S. will not allow the ICC or any other organization to constrain not America's right, Israel's right to self-defense.
Yeah,
our government just
Israel's way over there.
Our government just threatened the UN and the international courts over Israel.
It's like, you want an epic failure? We're going to show you epic failure.
Right. There, hold my beer.
But I mean, it's not self-defense when you're firing rockets into other countries. You know, that's kind of when it stops being self-defense. Yeah. When you start attacking other people.
Well, when you attack a country that doesn't have access to clean water and or cars, and you're defending yourself from them, they're making.
I mean, it's kind of like the jerk dad who, you know, is like 35 years old, 6.5 feet tall, beating his 5-year-old kid in a basketball game and go, boom, son.
Yeah, basically. Because these people are like mixing stuff under the sink to make explosives that they shoot over the wall with no targeting ability. And then Israel responds to 3 of those with 7 days of sorties flown with F-35s and laser targeted Hellfire missiles. And they're like, oh, no, we totally accidentally blew up that girls' school. Yeah, we have the most sophisticated targeting software on Earth, but we accidentally blew up that medical supply facility.
Maybe it's just that U.S. weapons have no aim, regardless of who's shooting them.
Well, Sony quit doing business with Israel because they found out that Israel was taking out the guidance chips that stopped. Because there's governors that are actually installed by Sony that prevent them from being able to target known.
Wait a minute.
Humanitarian.
I didn't know that Sony was making missiles in the first place.
Yeah, Sony is making the guidance systems,
guidance hardware,
that we use in rockets that we sell to Israel and that they use to kill people.
Yeah.
So it's just this.
Well, not anymore.
So it's just
not
this
anymore.
giant mess of World War II victors.
Sony stopped selling to them because they found out that those chips were being taken out so that Israel could target whatever they wanted. So if it's a girls' school that's on the list of like the missile can't be pointed at that. There's like a list of things, on a map.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not hard.
Specific coordinates that are programmed in, and on a computer chip, that's like a governor, basically.
I mean, Google can't identify a building or a complex as a school.
So they removed that chip, and Sony found out they were removing the chip. So Sony was like, we're not going to do business with you anymore because you're taking out the chip that stops you from being able to blow up schools. And America's saying, if the international courts dare say a word, we're going to arm the nukes because we're not having it.
Well, I mean, they're not wrong. It is a violation of our sovereignty to have the international court telling us what to do, just like it's a violation of state sovereignty to have the federal courts telling us what to do, and it's a violation of individual autonomy to have the state courts telling us what to do. And of course, the state's response to that was, but we need the federal courts for these interstate disputes.
That's not what
That's the International Criminal Court, dude.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it's for. I don't agree with it. I don't like it because I think it's a violation of sovereignty going all the way down to the individual.
Well, that's not what it's for. I mean, at least on
That's what it's supposed to be
at least
for.
on an individual nation, in theory, you could have a country that was like, you know what? We're going to oppress people, but we're also going to, have stability. Whereas an international court isn't really international. It's run by someone.
This is great. We've permitted the Palestinian Liberation Organization office. PLO, by the way, are completely defunct. They were put out by Fatah, who is actually in control in Palestine now, not the PLO. You have Hamas in Gaza, and you have Fatah in the West Bank. The PLO are so Bill Clinton era. It's like saying that they have we have great negotiation.
We have to go into Bosnia.
Yeah, for real. We've got great relations with Yugoslavia's government. Oh my goodness. We're going to Congo.
I did not inhale.
Yeah. We've permitted their office to conduct operations that support the objective of achieving a lasting, comprehensive peace between Israelis and the Palestinians since the expiration of a previous waiver, 2017, says Department spokesperson Heather Nauert. However, the PLO has not taken steps to advance the start of direct and meaningful negotiations with Israel. I'm going to wander out on a limb and say probably because they don't have the authority to do so because Fatah is in control of the country, and the PLO
if it's not that,
are nobodies now.
It's definitely that Israel will shoot them.
Well, that too.
Just for coming up, like, hey, we want to talk to you. Bam, dead. Welcome to Israel.
To the contrary,
previously known as the West Bank.
PLO leadership has condemned U.S. peace plans that they've not even seen yet and refused to engage with the U.S. government with respect to peace efforts and otherwise.
Yeah, you know what U.S. peace plans would work is if the U.S. would quit arming Israel, and then they'd have to all get along with each other and solve their own problems without the U.S. military equipment backing them up.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Why
too
do you
late
hate
for that
Jews
now.
So much, Melanie.
It is.
Why do you hate the Jewish people so much?
The statement added that the decision was, quote, consistent with the administration and congressional concerns. So this isn't a Trump thing. Congressional concerns that Palestinians are attempting...
Congress is a Trumpian body right now.
Palestinians are attempting to prompt an ICC investigation of Israel. The PLO slammed the U.S. administration in advance of the expected announcement and said it had already been notified by the White House of its decision. This dangerous escalation shows the U.S. is willing to disband the international system in order to protect Israeli crimes and attacks against the land of the people of Palestine.
Hey, if this gets us out of the UN, Go Trump.
It's extremely cruel and spiteful to persist in deliberately bashing Palestinian people by denying them their rights, giving away their land and rightful capital of Jerusalem, and defunding the United Nations relief and work agencies and Palestinian institutions, including East Jerusalem hospitals. The head of the PLO delegation to the U.S., Hussam Zomlot, condemned the closure of the mission in strongest terms in a statement Monday, saying that the Trump administration was blindly executing Israel's wish list. Well, no more than Obama would or Hillary would. I mean, Trump is so friendly to Israel, he gave them just as much money as Obama did, who set records for the most money to Israel. If you took all the money all the presidents before him gave to Israel and you put it all together, it would equal half the money that he gave Israel in his second term.
Well, maybe he was overcompensating for other people calling him a Muslim.
Well, that and the fact
that probably
the general consensus was Obama hates Israel, to which I always responded, so much that he gives them $4.5 billion a year, because that's what I do to people I hate. I give them $4 billion a year. Oh, and I build them the most sophisticated missile defense system on the state of the planet with American tax dollars. I'll be damned. Oh, see, here's the people. The Taylor Force Act is a law passed by Congress earlier this year that linked future U.S. funding of the Palestinian Authority, the people actually in control of Palestine, not the PLO, to demand that the Palestinian Authority end its policy of paying a stipend to terrorists serving in Israeli prisons, as well as the families of deceased terrorists. That it creates incentives to commit acts of terror. And by acts of terror, they mean things like standing in front of a tank.
Flying kites.
Yeah. Standing in front of a tank as it rolls over your neighbor's house.
Being a 12-year-old in a wheelchair that wandered too close to a fence. Terrorism.
Throwing a rock at a guy holding an AR-15 that's standing in your front yard. Terrorism.
Free Talk Live.
I thought pagans worshipped the earth. I didn't think they've cast spells.
Well, and they do rituals, and they believe in the spirits and the energies and whatever other crap makes them feel better about themselves afternoon.
Wait. Paganism has something to it. There's sun worship involved in there, and I think the sun, if you're going to pick a god,
there is real energy involved in the sun.
Is a pretty good god. I mean,
real endothermic energy. Yes,
it's reliable. Every day it rises and it sets.
Yeah. And if we don't have it, we'll freeze to death.
Yeah. If you don't have him, you die immediately. Like life on the planet just begins to shut down without the sun. Sun's a good god, all in all.
Right, but then once you start making requests of the sun, you've started going overboard.
Well,
once you say, "Oh, great and powerful sun, help photosynthesis." Yes. I mean, unless you are asking for something other than green plants or vitamin D, you need.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Toll House Morsels, helping you create special moments and memories your family will cherish forever. Visit us at tollhouse.com. You may bake for birthdays and holidays, but why stop there? Sweeten up the rest of the year by designating monthly dessert days. Treat your family to one of their favorites or surprise them with something new. Either way, you'll create a tradition everyone will love. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, September 10th, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,194 per ounce. Zen is trading at $16, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,302. Antiwar.com reports 17 years into the war in Afghanistan, the Pentagon has gone through several periods of trying to sell the American public on the ideal that the war isn't a disastrous failure. This is increasingly difficult because the war is going really badly. But lying works sometimes, and the Pentagon has made that standard operating procedure in Afghanistan. The Pentagon estimates on the war are often exaggerated and many times simply fabricated outright. The Pentagon estimates that the Taliban controls or contest 44% of the country. Analysts say the real figure is closer to 61%. Many districts the U.S. does not consider contested have the Afghan government controlling the capital and little else. U.S. figures show Afghanistan having 314,000 troops and the Taliban having about 25,000. Afghan officials say the Taliban is actually closer to 77,000, while the estimate of Afghan forces ignores that about a third of them are ghost soldiers who exist only on paper. In individual incidents, the Pentagon reports tend to be wildly inaccurate, as well as with the Taliban's brief capture of the city of Ghazni. The Pentagon declared this a failed Taliban push the day it happened and downplayed it as minimal. Fighting raged for most of the week, with the Pentagon never admitting just what a big fight it actually was. All of these statements are part of a broad effort to paint the Afghan war as at least somewhat less dire than it actually is. It is rare for them to be called on such deception, though if history is any indication, the latest report will not change the Pentagon strategy. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. UPI reports Dallas police officer Amber Geiger was arrested Sunday night and faces manslaughter charges after she entered the wrong apartment, believing it was hers, and fatally shot a man in his own home. Geiger was booked into the Kaufman County Jail, and her bail was set at $300,000. The incident occurred Thursday night when Geiger, who was off duty but still in uniform, entered the apartment of Botham Jean, believing it was her apartment. She then shot Jean, who died of gunshot wounds on his way to the hospital. Police have not said how Geiger, who lives in the same building, was able to enter the apartment. Geiger was not arrested until almost 3 days after the shooting. Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall said on Friday that authorities were preparing a warrant to arrest Geiger on manslaughter charges, but that was postponed when the investigation was handed over to the Texas Rangers. Attorney Lee Merritt, who is representing Jean's family, said the delay in charging Geiger only worsened an already tragic situation. At a press conference on Sunday, Merritt said he was presented video evidence and witness testimony to police that contradicts the police narrative of what happened during the shooting. However, he did not give specifics on what that evidence shows. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Fueled in the beginning by his unsettling thoughts and emotions, he learns how to find peace with everything he has woken up to. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports firefighters battled over the weekend to outflank a wildfire that has forced the closure of an interstate highway in Northern California as the blaze swept through explosively dry mountain timber in the Shasta Trinity National Forest. As of late Saturday, the Delta Fire had scorched more than 40,500 acres in the Cascade Range since erupting on Wednesday in a forest canyon along the Sacramento River about 250 miles north of San Francisco. No serious injuries or deaths had been reported, but the blaze has caused major travel disruptions. On Wednesday, flames raced across Interstate 5, chasing a number of truckers from their vehicles before flames engulfed their abandoned rigs. A 45-mile stretch of I-5, a key north-south route through the entire state, has remained closed since then, requiring traffic detours of up to 120 miles. Although the containment of the blaze remained at zero, crews have made gains, clearing away tinder dry brush beyond its leading edge. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. A month after the death of leader Kim Jong-il, North Korea's 24.5 million citizens have returned to their regular daily routines this week, holding a festive synchronized disco jump rope gala in Pyongyang's main public square. Life in the Hermetic Communist nation is reportedly beginning to normalize following the protracted mourning period, with citizens once again donning their brightly colored uniforms and performing intricate gymnastics routines in perfect unison.
It is an inspiring sight to see so many loyal citizens find the strength to unfurl their long silken streamers and do dozens of tandem backflips set to dance music.
Observers reported that new North Korean leader Kim Jong-un nodded once in approval of the disco jump rope gala, signaling an official transfer of power.
A recent study from the Centers for Disease Control finds that over 100 million children are being exposed to harmful levels of stupidity in their own homes. Hear the debate about secondhand ignorance on the next In the Know.
This is the Onion News Network.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom live on LRN.FM. تستمعون إلى نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We are broadcasting live from our Horizon.global studios here in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. We told you guys that about the big Zencash rebrand, that, you know, Zencash is now Horizon, or Horizon.global. Horizon is a privacy platform built on zero-knowledge technology with a decentralized, secure node architecture. The Horizon platform enables real-life uses beyond currency, including the ability to privately chat with other folks. Soon, Horizon will enable you to publish information and go anywhere on the web, all with complete privacy. Horizon, bringing privacy back to life. Learn more at Horizon, with an E, Z-E-N, Horizon.global. So we are in hour 3 here on our Monday afternoon drive home broadcast, and we've got a wonderful guest with us today. Now, he is an author. He is the author of The Divine Reality, God, Islam, and the Mirage of Atheism. He's also a public speaker, an instructor, and essayist. He has a master's and a postgraduate certificate in philosophy from the University of London, is currently continuing his postgraduate studies in the field, has studied Islamic thought and theology under qualified scholars, and delivers workshops, courses, and an accredited diploma course on topics related to Islamic thought and philosophy. Everyone, let's give a welcome to Hamza Andreas. Is it Sortis? Am I saying that correctly?
Great. That's great.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Very cool. Very cool. So we wanted to have you on the show. We bill ourselves as talk radio that's a cut above. We're not usually the same ridiculous banter that you hear on other shows. We wanted to have you on. We have lots of discussions. We actually had Ray Comfort on the show last week. The guy, the banana guy. So it was pretty interesting. But we've got you here. Now, your book is called The Divine Reality, God, Islam, and the Mirage of Atheism. Tell us a little about this now revised edition that's just recently come out.
Sure. I mean, thanks for the opportunity. Well, basically, I wrote this book as a result of thinking about what's happening in today's contemporary discourse, where you have, obviously polarized debates. Everything has become extremely ideological. And post 9/11, you have the rising of what some people call the neo-atheist movement, and they had, the Four Horsemen, which included Dawkins and Sam Harris and Dennett and others. And basically, there was a online and offline narrative against religion, but also against Islam. from a point of view of, denying the existence of God, and also basically promoting a type of scientism, which is the kind of philosophical thesis that says that the only way to render truth about the world and reality is through the scientific method. So you had all of this going on, and I became Muslim just after 9/11, around 16 years ago, and basically I started to try to articulate an intelligent case for Islam. I did lots of mistakes, loads of blunders. I was learning as I was going on. Then I took things a little bit more seriously, and this book is an accumulation of my learning from the mistakes, learning from the blunders and the errors, and also from my academic background and my engagement with what some would like to call, leading atheists from an academic point of view. For example, I've had various discussions with the likes of Professor Krauss, Professor Simons, and Professor and many others. This is you could find this on YouTube and on my website. So I've had intellectual discussions, and I've learned from them. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to articulate a compassionate, intelligent case for Islamic theism, using in the book, and that's the summary, really. So I talk about very important things from an Islamic traditional point of view. For example, why God is worthy of worship. So I actually talk about why that's the case. I talk about, the truthfulness of the Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, in his claim to prophethood, and I articulate an argument for that. And also, I give the kind of normal, traditional, classical arguments that are found in Christian tradition as well and other traditions. I Islamify them to a certain degree, refer them back to our classical Islamic intellectual tradition. So there's an argument from contingency. I've quoted the argument from dependency. We have what I call the Quranic argument for God's existence, which really is a cosmological type of argument. The argument of design is there. Argument from consciousness, argument from reason. And it's got other epistemological issues concerning innate truths, something that is referred to as the fitrah in the Islamic tradition, and so forth and so on. So yeah, so that's why I wrote the book. And one of the main reasons was because there's nothing out there in the English language, I believe, from my limited, experience and understanding, that articulates an intelligent case for Islamic theism in the English language that's contemporary, because it responds to a lot of academic and popular atheist and skeptic contentions and objections.
Not in book form.
Yeah.
There's definitely some lectures, because we've played some of that stuff here. We play quite a bit. We've actually played quite a bit of Hamza Yusuf's arguments on atheism. And
yeah, absolutely. I meant book, absolutely. There was nothing in book form, and writing for me is far more, on the long term, it's far more powerful in terms of its impact than speeches. Because if I were to give a speech on my book, it would take me probably 32 hours if I were to go through all the details. But that's impractical. But I think, a book's battery never dies. That's what I like to say.
Right.
So yeah, alhamdulillah. So yeah, so that's it, really. That's why I wrote the book. And the book's not perfect, and there's you have to stop somewhere, unless I didn't want to start writing 11 volumes of work. So I said this book is not a monologue, it's a dialogue. And in the afterword, I mentioned I have a website, and I put a link to the website, hamzadozy.com/the divine reality. Any questions, any need for clarification, just send me a message and I'll clarify. For example, I've got a draft essay on there responding to one of the requests for clarification for a question specifically on the argument from consciousness. So let's continue the discussion and dialogue, and I think that's very, very important. I didn't want it to be a book just to make some noise and then that's it. No, I wanted to continue, because even today I was addressing a question on Facebook on the argument from reason concerning a principle that I used. So the conversation is continuing, and that's good, because I think what's happened as well is there's been a lot of kind of excessive ideological hardness. Our hearts have become slightly hard when we're discussing with each other, and I'm to blame too. I've been responsible for that as well. It's like, all of a sudden when someone says they're an atheist, something happens in your brain, right? There's a radio that turns on, and it skews your interaction with that human being. And someone all of a sudden may think, okay, this guy's an atheist, he must be like Richard Dawkins, he must love science, he must think science is everything, therefore I'm going to give him a scientific argument. But yet you haven't engaged with them. You've engaged with your judgment of them, but not who they are. But if you want to engage with them, that you really have to become a blank canvas, and you have to basically divorce your limited experiences and attitudes when you're engaging with a human being, and then you'll be able to engage with them in such a profound way. And you may realize that maybe the person's atheist because his mom passed away when he was 3 years old of cancer, and he doesn't have an answer. But you would never have known unless you don't engage with your judgment of the person, but rather you engage with.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Angel Clark, and you're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
جئت بعد العسر يسرا ربنا أعلاك قدرا يا إمام الأنبياء أنت في.
All right, welcome back here to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, broadcasting live from our Horizon.global studio in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. And we're joined today by, well, author and speaker Hamza Andreas Tsortis. He is joining us. You're joining us from London right now, right?
Indeed.
Awesome. And we're here. He's here to discuss his book, The Divine Reality, the myth, the God, Islam, and the mirage of atheism. Now, I see my one of my co-hosts, Ari, over there, has been feverishly scribbling away. So I'm going to let her go ahead. Take it away, Arya.
Well, I'd like to say thanks, first of all, for using the term new atheists. They're the reason that I lately am categorizing myself as a non-theist rather than an atheist, because these new atheists, as you mentioned, they're unscientific. You know, they call themselves scientific, but they're not. You're correct in that they do search for science to reveal to them the truth of reality, when what they don't comprehend is that science rejects truth. That's why its highest degree of certainty is the theory and not the fact. So anyone going around claiming to know something or to have truth or to have truth been revealed to them through any sort of scientific method is ipso facto being unscientific. I don't think they're atheists. I think that these people are selfists. They engage in selfism, which I would characterize as, hubris, a belief in human supremacy, a rejection of science, and a total lack of humility. They don't believe in a God, an external God, for sure.
They believe in themselves.
Yeah, they believe themselves to be God.
The ultimate personification of the self-esteem movement.
Yeah.
Wow, that was quite deep, Arya.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I in a way I agree. Like in the book, I was talking about people who talk about the problem of evil. Some perspectives, they basically adopt something what I call egocentrism. Egocentrism is like the cognitive bias that my way is the only way of looking at things, right? And there is some of that in there. So what's very interesting as well is when you said science it rejects truth. Yes, in the kind of classical philosophical sense of an absolute truth, absolutely. But just to play a bit of devil's advocate, they would argue, yeah, but what we mean by truth is something that is well confirmed, and a well
confirmed for now.
Absolutely. Well, I totally agree.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a
sorry.
It's kind of a mischaracterization of what science is saying, because science isn't saying, oh, the answer is XYZ. Science is saying XYZ is the best explanation we have so far, and science is pretty clear about that. It's when you get into media headlines or people walking around talking about it, you have the...
Well, a large part of the problem is that science itself doesn't say anything, and scientists are increasingly unclear about that. You have people like Neil Tyson and Bill Nye who say, oh no, this is fact. This is science fact. This is absolutely
right?
certain.
And Sagan never said that.
No, he
Sagan
didn't.
was not like that. Sagan had the ability to be like, I don't know. Whereas Tyson and the Sam Harrises and the Bill Nyes are like, no, I know because I know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is I have a chapter called Does Science Lead to Atheism? And basically I just give the basic understanding of what the philosophy of science is. And I think one of the issues in today's contemporary discourse on this particular issue is that people don't study the philosophy of science. Because if you study the philosophy of science, you know, for example, take the problem of induction. There may be another observation that can be at odds with your generalizations that was based on limited observations. And that's the beauty of science. It's supposed to be progressive. It's supposed to move along. I mean, even Richard Dawkins, I believe in his book, The Devil's Chaplain, he mentioned something very similar about the Darwinian mechanism. He said in 10 years, we may have some scientific data that we don't have now that can drastically change our understanding of our origins and our development. So from that point of view, I 100% agree with you guys. But what's very interesting, though, is science, the danger is now that some people think science is metaphysically free. Now, when we study the philosophy of science, we'll understand that there are a lot of first principles we have to adopt in order to understand anything in the empirical world. Take, for example, one of the necessary metaphysical first principles that science has to assume in order for it to work. That would be external causal relations. There needs to be an understanding of external causal relations to some degree in order for science to progress forward. Or another key assumption is that nature is uniform. That if we observed, for example, 50% of the universe and gravity is pervading 50% of the universe, we assume or we make the inference based on the assumption that nature is uniform, that therefore gravity pervades the rest of the universe. Now, these are certain necessary assumptions or first principles that are required in order for science to work. So what I try to discuss in the book is, well, you know, at the end of the day, science is great, but it's also very limited. For example, it cannot answer our existential questions in totality. It may provide some kind of data, absolutely, but can it answer the big fundamental questions? Like, that's why, you know, when you have this idea of God of the gaps, you know, there is an assumption in that kind of accusation that science will close the gap. But many times science has widened the gap. And that's the beauty of science. For example, before the 1950s, we thought the cell was just basically cytoplasm. But when we discovered the DNA and more intricate understanding of the human cell, it was like, oh my God, how do we explain this now? How do we explain our origins? So the gap actually widened, it didn't close. So yeah, I agree with you guys. We can always have another observation that could be at odds with our generalizations that was based on limited previous observations. And that's, you know, and just to conclude on this point, so we can move on, or you could add more. Basically, you know, there was a big debate between the realists and anti-realists, and you also have the instrumentalists. But for argument's sake, let's talk about the realists and the anti-realists. So the scientific realists in philosophy, they said, well, well-confirmed scientific theories are representations of the actual state of affairs, meaning they do mirror truth, or they can mirror truth. The anti-realists said, no, they don't mirror truth at all. They're just approximations of reality, but will never be able to represent the actual state of affairs. There's been a big debate going on in philosophy, but they all agree, generally speaking, that yes, theories are great, but they can change.
All right, we're talking with Hamza Andreas Zortis about his book, The Divine Reality, and, well, all that's within it. We'll be back with more with him right after this here on The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
You're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
تستمتعون إلى برنامج نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
All right, welcome back into the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. It is, we're halfway through this last hour of your, 3-hour live drive home broadcast of the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We've been joined for this last hour by Hamza Andreas Tsordis. He's the author of The Divine Reality, God, Islam, and the Mirage of Atheism. You're welcome to give us a call if you got a question. 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. We were talking off the air, and Hamza expressed his desire to give a little opinion on the name of our show. So let's hear that.
Okay, well, basically, when I did my MA, I did a module called The Idea of Freedom, which is very, very interesting, and how we define freedom. And I think, the kind of discussions that we had was basically it's the absence of coercion. But then after, when you ask the question, what is the absence of coercion? Then it's basically that your rights are not violated. Then you have another question, well, what kind of conception of rights are you articulating? And then basically freedom is so intrinsically related to rights and what conception of rights one articulates. And I think that is lost in contemporary discourse, especially in political discourse. Everyone thinks they know what freedom means, because there could be situations that you could be coerced to a certain degree, but it's not actually denying your freedoms. And there's lots of thought experiments that you could basically think about concerning that. I mean, a good book is to read Whiteheimer's book called Coercion. I think he sealed the deal on that discussion. So I think when you talk about freedom, or when we talk about freedom in general, we need to define, well, what rights are we, what kind of conception of rights do we have? If you have this excessive individualistic kind of perception of what it means to have rights for a human being, there will be quite limited. Others would take more of a communitarian stance, and they say, no, there are more rights than just right to life. There's right to X, Y, and Z. So I think what's really good is maybe, to create a discussion to actually define what freedom is. And there is a philosophical discussion, and they're still having that discussion. Obviously, philosophy doesn't really affect politics or the social sphere much, but I think it's important for us to raise these ideas. So for me, freedom is not only, yes, it's the absence of coercion, but what does that mean? If we break it down a little bit further, it's really that your rights are not violated. Yeah. So then the question follows, well, what kind of conception of rights do you want to articulate? So, for me, from my perspective as a Muslim, well, our rights are already, divinely established from that point of view. And I think one important right is, obviously, as most of us, even if we don't believe in a religion, we believe in the right to have a belief or a non-belief. And I speak about the idea of freedom in my book on why God is worthy of worship. There's a very powerful, and this is more of the existential kind of spiritual aspect to the idea of freedom. There's a very powerful verse in the Quran which basically talks about, a kind of example, and God basically says, and I'm paraphrasing, consider the situation of two people. One person is a servant to many masters and they're all quarreling. And one person, he's a servant to one master, whose condition is best. Now to ponder over these verses is very powerful, because in reality, we are at service to something, even if we believe in God or not. For example, if you define worship in the Islamic sense, which entails that something that you love the most, something that you want to know the most, something that you obey the most, and something that you see as an authority, and something that you basically express acts of worship like gratitude towards the most. If that is worship, then everyone is in a state of worship, even if they don't believe in a deity or a religion. Like you mentioned this earlier about the selfists, right? The self is all about themselves and their perspective and stuff like that. That can be seen from that dimension as self-worship, as even God in the Quran mentions that very clearly. He says, have you not seen the one who takes his own desires as his Lord, as his object of worship? So what's very interesting from a kind of existential spiritual sense, we would actually believe that true freedom lies in understanding your servitude to the divine, in your relationship with the divine. Because if you're not worshiping the one that deserves worship, you're actually worshiping something else. So the default position for the human being is in a state of worship, meaning loving something the most, knowing something the most, obeying something the most, and expressing acts of worship like gratitude towards something the most. If that's the case, then many people have misdirected worship. And what Muslims should be doing, in my view, in a humble and compassionate and intelligent way, is just showing people why the divine deserves worship. And that's when they will get true freedom, spiritual existential freedom. You know, as one of the famous poets, Iqbal, he was called the poet of the East. He said, you know, this one prostration, you know, and Muslims in their prayer, they prostrate. He said, this one prostration frees you from 1,000 prostrations, right? Which is, I think, is very deep and very powerful. And interestingly, the word for soul in Arabic is ruh. And the word ruh shares the same root as the word raha, and raha means liberty and ease. So it's as if the soul, the ruh, is trying to achieve that liberty. But from an Islamic perspective, you can only really achieve that if you worship the divine. Because if you're not worshiping the divine, you're worshiping something else. So if you want to free yourself from the shackles of other forms of worship, and you know, then worship the one that deserves worship. And that's the very simple message of Islam in essence, really. Here, that's a linguistic philosophical cocktail for you guys to think about now.
I want Tom to get in on this. I haven't heard Tom's voice yet.
No, I'm mostly just listening.
Well, on the subject of freedom, I would say that freedom being defined as a lack of coercion being applied against me is certainly circular. But I don't necessarily see that as a problem as long as it's understood what coercion means. I mean, eventually, it's like any other sort of infinite regress where we could keep asking, okay, but what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, I prefer the other, is that freedom is a lack of the violation of your rights. That you have certain rights, and that living in freedom is living without the threat of having those rights violated.
Well, what would you define as those rights then? With that being the case,
that's the discussion.
Exactly.
Well, see, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We can skip all of that by just saying, you know, I have the right to not have violence and the threat of violence used against me.
Exactly.
That's the only right I would enumerate.
Well, for Sharia, it's the first. It's the very first right, the right to the protection of life. That's the first maqsad in the maqasid, is the right to protection of life, which includes assault. You know, no one has a right to physically harm you without due cause. Did you punch that guy in the face? Well, then he has a right to hit you back. But you don't have a right to initiate that. You don't. If you're the initiator, you are the transgressor. That's the way I've always understood Quran specifically, is that the initiator of aggression is the transgressor. You know, in all of the books that are used usually to be like, oh, Islam is violent. When you read those texts, like chapter 2, verse 190.
Oh, well, we know those people don't read it.
Yeah, exactly.
They go, I bought 50 copies of the Quran and I've read them all.
Yeah, it always starts off with, look, your rights were violated here, so you have a right to do something in return. But it always ends with, don't be from among those who transgress the bounds. Don't be that person who initiated it. So for me, it's this. You're saying.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. आप सुन रहे हैं स्वतंत्रता की पुकार सिर्फ और सिर्फ LRN.FM पे।
All right, welcome back to the final segment of tonight's live drive home broadcast of the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. We are broadcasting, as always, from our Horizon.global studios. We are waiting on, well, the superstorm ain't coming here, yo. It's raining, but we ain't finna get no hurricane. It ain't happening.
Yeah, I hope not.
Right?
Well, there's not like a hurricane near us, so why would we be getting a hurricane?
It's supposed to hit North Carolina. My mom sending me messages.
It ain't too far from here. Yeah,
from Florida.
We'll
She's
get
like, "Are you okay?"
off of it.
I mean, you would think the mountains, or what they call mountains here, would kind of stall the hurricane.
We don't get anything like what they're going to get down in South Carolina or on coastal North Carolina. I mean, we get a boatload of rain.
I should check on my sister.
I delivered pizzas during Katrina.
They're finna get wrecked where one of my sisters lives at. She lives like right next to. She lives in Three Rivers, which is right next to Myrtle Beach. So yeah, they're finna get wrecked. So I better check with her, make sure she's battened down and actually has a place to stay tonight and all that kind of stuff. So.
Probably be good.
Yeah, well, she's the schizophrenic one that's habitually homeless. So, but she keeps her cell phone on. So don't ask me how. I'm sure my mom probably pays for it. But
Well, my bigger question would be, how do you charge a cell phone?
Gas stations.
Yeah, Walmart, McDonald's. There's all kinds of places that'll let you just kind of hang out for a little while. And if you got a good phone that charges quickly, you know, unlike mine or
mine
or yours. Oh God, this is terrible.
I don't even know where my charger base is anymore, so I can't even charge it. It's just sitting in my suitcase. Basically
there you
a
go.
brand new S7.
Well, there you go. So we've been joined for the last hour by Hamza Andreas Tsortzis. He's the author of The Divine Reality, God, Islam, and the Mirage of Atheism. And we were having a little talk that last segment about freedom and what constitutes freedom in his opinion. And then we were kind of having a little banter around about that. And I know Aria had something that she was about to slip in there, and I cut her off. No giggities, Tom.
Aww, you've been wanting me to talk, and then you cut me off at my catchphrase.
I don't remember what it was, if I did.
No, that's okay.
It was giggity. It was giggity is what you were going to say.
If you say so, Tom.
Oh, goodness gracious. So, Hamza.
Yes, sir.
Aria, I got two atheists here. I'm surprised you two aren't like machine gunning right here.
Well, I agree with him.
Oh, okay. Well, see,
I
there you
mean,
go.
not about the origins of the universe or the existence of a deity, but
But we haven't been talking about that either. So like, we don't just attack people we disagree with. I save that for anarchy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you want us to yell at a guest, Will, bring on a worse guest. It's been a good guest.
I don't know. You guys
we are trying, Tom.
You guys were nice to Ray Comfort.
I
which
would have
was
yelled at Ray
surprised.
Comfort.
You would have yelled at Ray
Yeah,
Comfort.
he's an idiot.
I yell every time I watch the video of him saying, "I never said atheists said everything came from nothing."
3 seconds after
not
he
3
said it.
seconds after
why
he
is
says
it-
on 3 occasions.
But why
that
is it?
atheists believe everything came from nothing? On 3 occasions he says this, and then he says straight to
Nothing
me,
made
"I never
everything."
said atheists said everything came from nothing."
I said
when you
that-
can rewind the clip 10 seconds and hear him say exactly
Well, yeah,
that.
and that's why I would yell at him, not because he is a theist, but because he is dishonest.
Yeah, there's a huge gap.
You can be dishonest to be a theist, an atheist, a Christian, a Muslim, whatever.
My experience has
sins
been
don't
that there's
take you
a
out of the
huge
religion,
difference
so.
between like a Christian apologist and a Muslim apologist. There is enormous differences between the two.
Well, there's a huge.
The Christian ones go, atheists believe everything came from nothing. The Muslim ones go, well, atheists actually don't believe that. They say blah 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 blah.
Well, we used to
the
have
universe has
one.
probably always existed.
It actually depends.
Yeah.
On who you speak to. Like, for example, I'm a strong advocate for not otherizing people, meaning there's no such thing as, okay, fine, there are atheists as a category, but you cannot say they're all the same. Like, the Quran mentions categories, but it also mentions in chapter 3, verse 113, people are not the same. So it basically clarifies that. And it's very important, even when we're speaking to a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, whoever the case may be, that when we see them as the individual, not as their category, because their category is just basically social convention to make it easy for ourselves to understand things.
Interesting.
But
I
when
have a
you
video on YouTube called "Be an Individual, Not an Adjective."
Yeah. So basically, when I speak to an atheist on a one-to-one level, literally, I'm trying to have the intention to listen and understand. And from that, I'll be able to engage, what that person's particular views are. Like some atheists, they don't believe in this something from nothing attitude. Some atheists actually, they redefine the metaphysical understanding of nothing. They want to define it as something else. Others, they just simply say, we don't know. So and that's why it's very important to have these type of radio shows with your kind of panel, because what it does, it educates people. And I'll give you a really good story. The professor that was running my department was Professor James. Professor James is a well-known scholar of Nietzsche. He became a professor without writing a book. And to become a professor in the UK without writing a book is almost impossible. And, he's a scholar of Nietzsche. He's an atheist. I had discussions with him. I had dinner with him, lunch with him. We actually shared dinner together. He was so nice. He said, let's get a plate and we could share it together. I was like, I melted, yeah? And he was saying to me, Hamza, don't listen to the neo-atheists. They don't represent me or anyone. just have human connections, talk about values, talk about ethics, talk about meaning. These are the things we should be talking about. He said the social narrative with loud voices, they don't represent the kind of masses. And that really created an awakening in me when I had that discussion with him. I was like, you know what, he's right. He's absolutely right. And the more experiences I have, the more I realize that actually people are not the same. And everyone is an individual from that point of view. Yes, we have categories, but generally speaking, when the Quran mentions these categories, it's for you to internalize them. Am I someone who is a hypocrite, for example? It's not there for you to start throwing it at others, because you will never know if someone's a hypocrite, because you can't enter into their heart. So these categories are for you to internalize, not to externalize. Yeah, there's a spiritual existential dimension to these things. So yeah, I totally agree with me and you. I totally agree with you guys. So that's
it may interest you to know that I am also a huge fan of Nietzsche.
Oh, wow.
Yes, a very big fan of
Nietzsche is misunderstood as well. People think
I tell Tom that at least once a week.
Yeah, some people misunderstand him and think that he's smart when he's not.
No, that's unfair. Honestly, okay. It depends how you define smart, but I do believe he was a very, very deep thinker. Like, for example, when he said God is dead, he didn't mean God didn't exist per se.
Yeah, that's probably the most misquoted article on Earth.
He basically says, in a nutshell, that, and I learned this from the scholar of Nietzsche. He said that in the hearts of European people, God has now died. God doesn't have, they may believe in him, but they don't believe in him. They haven't internalized the concept of God, and it affects who they are. It's not a grounding for the ethics and value and philosophy for life. He said, in that sense, God is dead. And then when God dies in that way for them, there'll be no grounding. He admitted there'll be no kind of objective grounding for values and ethics. And then he said, therefore, we would have to become gods ourselves in order to provide that grounding. And he realized there was a problem with that, because that means everyone would have their own conception. And you know how he replies, in essence? He says, well, I have my values. Where are yours? Let's fight them out. Which values are going to be the best, right? So he was very deep from that point of view. And prophetic almost. Look what's happening to Europe, Look what's happening to Europe from that point of view.
America.
And even Jeremy Bentham said, from a kind of a naturalistic point of view, human rights are like nonsense and stilts.
All right, well, tell us where we can get your book.
Amazon, Wordery, Book Depository. There you go.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show with us this afternoon. Thank you for coming out with us. We'd love to have you on the show again. You can check him out at HamzaZordis.com. We'll post a link to it on the Facebook page and the Twitter feed. Don't go anywhere, guys, because we've got Free Talk Live coming up next.
Which just makes that movie that much more.
Last month, the FDA approved Hallucex, a new class of weight loss drug that helps users avoid overeating by producing nightmarish hallucinations whenever food is around. Hallucex targets the brain's cerebral cortex, stimulating the centers responsible for fear and visual processing. Test subjects reported an unprecedented decrease in appetite and showed dramatic weight loss, with only 18% reporting night terrors or subsequent cardiac arrest.
It's designed to make fatty and sugary foods even scarier. An apple just looks like it has fangs, but a milkshake will threaten you and your family by name.
Earlier incarnations of the drug proved to be too powerful and produced mental states in which test subjects no longer believed that food had ever existed. An unshakable belief that the subject had to eat all of the food on the planet in order to prevent food from rising up and destroying the human race.
No, you don't understand. I have to do this.
Or the conviction that food could be negotiated with diplomatically. With the Lab Report, I'm Aisha Patel.
This is the Onion News Network.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, September 10th, 2018. Silver's trading at $14.19 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,194 per ounce. Zen is trading at $16, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,302. Antiwar.com reports 17 years into the war in Afghanistan, the Pentagon has gone through several periods of trying to sell the American public on the idea that the war isn't a disastrous failure. This is increasingly difficult because the war is going really badly. But lying works sometimes, and the Pentagon has made that standard operating procedure in Afghanistan. The Pentagon estimates on the war are often exaggerated and many times simply fabricated outright. The Pentagon estimates that the Taliban controls or contest 44% of the country. Analysts say the real figure is closer to 61%. Many districts the U.S. does not consider contested have the Afghan government controlling the capital and little else. U.S. figures show Afghanistan having 314,000 troops and the Taliban having about 25,000. Afghan officials say the Taliban is actually closer to 77,000, while the estimate of Afghan forces ignores that about a third of them are ghost soldiers who exist only on paper. In individual incidents, the Pentagon reports tend to be wildly inaccurate, as well as with the Taliban's brief capture of the city of Ghazni. The Pentagon declared this a failed Taliban push the day it happened and downplayed it as minimal. Fighting raged for most of the week, with the Pentagon never admitting just what a big fight it actually was. All of these statements are part of a broad effort to paint the Afghan war as at least somewhat less dire than it actually is. It is rare for them to be called on such deception, though if history is any indication, the latest report will not change the Pentagon strategy. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need